friend of the channel, Cassie, she did respond to my video about me talking about what I think that the message is for the anti-woke community. So we're not going to waste that much time. We're going to go ahead and get into it, reiterate a few points, and go from there. And yes, this will be a reaction of a reaction of a reaction's reaction reactception.
Does he realize how many video games took L's this year for trying to push their social political ideology into gaming? Do you think that companies can just continue forever to take L's when so many people are just saying, hey, we do not want your bullshit shoved into our video games? Hey, we notice all of these trends that continue to happen and we're tired of the trend. Like, how many times can you fucking say, like, hey, we don't want this and we won't support this? Like, sooner or later, they're going to have to cave or they'll die. Like, it's really that simple.
Now, certain games that Cassie may feel like that were pushing that and was forcing their own ideologies, and that was the biggest reason why they failed. I think some of them, including Concord and Suicide Squad, those games were fundamentally going to fail anyway. Like, regardless if they were pushing anything or not. People would have still said, hey, like, this isn't a Rocksteady game. Hell, just by looking at it, you can tell it wasn't a Rocksteady game. It was Rocksteady in name and name alone. And it would have been better off if a brand new developer that was trying to make their first ever game make a Suicide Squad game instead of Rocksteady. That's what it felt like. And as for Concord, a lot of people didn't note how, like, the game really lacked any depth per se, and it really wasn't going to have that many legs, considering the fact that it had a very low player base at launch and didn't maintain that player base or even have new players want to come in with anything that they were trying to add or offer. And people could try to say, well, what about Unknown 9 or Dustborn? Those games were going to fail anyway because nobody was really checking for either game, if we're being honest.
Pride Month for the month of June. It's always going to happen no matter how much people don't like it or don't buy it.
There's a lot of companies that did not promote Pride this year. Well, this past year. There's a lot of companies that did not. Because they were realizing how shit was changing. How the perception of that shit was changing. Especially after the previous Pride, they was out of pocket with some of the shit that was going on. All right, Bud Light took a massive fucking L. What a disgusting L they took. And then when regular people are seeing pride parades, and look, I'm not disrespecting people in the LGBT community, but when you see the standout weirdos at a pride parade fucking naked with their dicks out, and then kids also in the same fucking frame, yeah, people are gonna feel some type of way about that shit. It is what it is. And I'm not saying that this is the epitome of the LGBT. Like, this is like everybody. But no, like, people are gonna feel some type of way looking at that shit. That's not every LGBT person, but unfortunately, y'all just let some crazy shit rock. That's like, yo, what the fuck are we doing here?
And from what I understand about that whole situation, wasn't it like a trans person that was just running an ad on Instagram or YouTube or something like that, and a lot of people got mad? Like, that is something I feel like is weird to get, a weird thing to get mad at. And if that is the crux of the reason why they end up boycotting Bud Light, all because a trans person took an ad, then I don't know, we may have lost the plot a little bit. Now, as far as like the pride parades go and having kids involved, I don't think a kid should be nowhere near a pride parade. Like, who would bring a child to a pride parade anyway? It's like trying to bring a 5-year-old to watch Child's Play and then they run out the theater to get scarred for life. Like, what y'all think was going to happen? And as far as like the dress code that they may have at pride parades, there should be some type of strict dress code enforced. Like, you can't be walking in the nude. Like, if you want to do that, go to a nude beach.
So here's the thing, like a lot of people, and mind you, he's bringing up games where either, for example, Naughty Dog, after listening to all the criticism of Abbyzilla, they decided to double down. That's the problem with Naughty Dog with this situation. And then the other game he brought up, what the fuck was what is it that he brought up? Oh, the Ghost Yote. I mean, that's just an example of replacing a male lead with a female lead. And look, the female lead may be decent. I'm not saying that, but the problem is the entire industry is going in the direction of replacing male leads with female leads. Naughty Dog continues to be divisive amongst gamers when it comes to people that buy their video games. And when you're saying that people should feel like they should buy games, even despite having a genuine feeling that the people that are selling them games hate them, why the fuck do you feel as though we should be forced to buy these games? Why? Why is it that when it comes to us, we get fucking attacked because we don't want to buy the game? And we tell them why, and apparently that's unacceptable. But guess what? When Stellar Blade came out, right? When Stellar Blade came out and that whole debacle with the graphic on the wall happened, right? There's a lot of people in the community that were saying, yeah, I can't support this. I was on TSWS Gaming, and there was a lot of dudes on there. Shout out to Loke, shout out to Ham Solo. They were upset by this.
I think for the most part, when devs go at people on Twitter, they just group everybody in instead of like either tagging the person or just letting it be known who they're talking about. Instead of, a particular person, they just go after the gamer's TM and not necessarily who they really are shooting at. But I'm just looking at it from my point of view. If it's something that I'm like super stoked about, I can't see myself, despite what the dev says on Twitter, that I would just not see myself buy the game. It would be like somebody saying, oh, I'm not going to buy Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling. Or better yet, if you had any of these devs say that they're Trump supporters, I don't think anybody would say, I don't want to buy the game because you're a Trump supporter. Like, for the most part, I think even me, myself included, I wouldn't care if they was a Trump supporter. It wouldn't stop me from wanting to buy something I'm interested in. But would I go as far as to tell other people how to feel and say, oh, you should be forced into buying something because I'm buying something? Not necessarily. Now, she brought up the point about the controversial graphic that was unintentionally put in Stellar Blade. I think that's a good reason to not buy something because it was something that was part of the game, even though albeit unintentional. But I wouldn't, look at somebody crazy for not buying that, at least until they had patched it out, which they did. And as far as with Ghost of Yotai, I just don't think it's like, oh, they're trying to replace male leads. I just think they're going all in of trying to be Assassin's Creed. Because how many years did we see online, and the devs seen online themselves, being compared to Assassin's Creed in Japan? Like, literally, Assassin's Creed was trending for the longest because of Ghost of Tsushima, because of said comparisons. And I think this is their way of going all in on it, because if we're being honest, Assassin's Creed ever since 3 has had a different protagonist every single time. From Black Flag to Unity to Syndicate to Origins to Odyssey, Valhalla. So they're really trying to dabble and play around in that idea and concept. So I think that's just personally what I think they're going for instead of the latter.
He's basically explaining why people are disinterested in the game. And while I think the way her face looks isn't really a big deal at all, he's literally expressing that they have to nerf Ciri as a character in order for her to fit in a man's boots. Yet again, another example being he's showing us the pattern of male video game leads being replaced by females. People are tired of the pattern. They're tired of it. Like, literally, they could have made another game that isn't necessarily The Witcher. It's a Ciri-focused video game that is made to take advantage of Ciri's powers. And that in itself would have been interesting, would have been different, actually would have been a challenge for them. They would have to actually design a whole different type of game. But it just seems, to me, having Ciri become a Witcher just feels lazy. It does ignore lore. Like it does downplay the character in order to fit a mold that they created because they're afraid to go outside of that mold with their next, follow up to The Witcher 3. I think that that's lazy and lame. And I'm supposed to just buy into that and just shut your mouth. Just be hype, bro. And look, I'm not saying The Witcher 4 is going to be a bad game. My prediction is it's going to have great gameplay. It's going to have really fun, great gameplay. I think there's going to be a lot of story-heavy stuff. I think some of the story-related stuff is going to be complete total bullshit to justify a narrative that shouldn't have existed in the first place. And some people are not going to mind it, and then some people are. That's just what it is. Yet again, he's bringing up another pattern-related character. So what is the message? That's what is the anti-woke's message?
I just think personally it would be a little bit boring just go around playing in Ciri as she did in Witcher 3 Wild and Hunt, having her slice and dice enemies left and right. That's why I kind of brought up the God mode Superman comparison, because like that's a big reason why people kind of feel like a Superman game is hard to do, because you would have to nerf Superman just like you would have to nerf Ciri in a way, not necessarily to fit Geralt's boots, but in a sense to limit those godlike powers. Now, granted, the jury is still ruled out that she could still be overpowered by the time we get to the end of the game. Like, we have not seen nothing about this game other than this trailer, so it is possible she can still be overpowered as fuck when you start playing through the game. Maybe not at the start of the game, but probably you get more powers, abilities, things of that nature. She gets stronger, then she pretty much becomes Superman at the end of the game. Now, when I've been mad at the idea of having a Ciri-focused standalone game kind of in the same vein as like Spider-Man Miles Morales, I would be cool with that. But of course, them are two completely different type of games, but you get the point.
When it comes to Lucia's character, I'm not gonna lie, I think the mass majority of criticism towards her character is retarded. I could understand it if she in fact does make the male protagonist look like dog shit. I completely stand with motherfuckers that criticize it. I get that. But since they announced this fucking game and showed off this character, motherfuckers is saying, oh, she's ugly. Oh, she's transgender. All right, fucking saying, now they're saying she's fat. It's like, what are we doing? Have you never seen a fucking Puerto Rican woman in your life? Like I have features that are very that are Latino in nature. This is what Latin women look like, bro. Like, can we be reasonable here? This is what Latin women look like. I don't know if maybe you live in some other land, some other culture, you never seen a Latin female before, but this is what they look like. I promise you. I don't think she looks ugly. She certainly doesn't look trans. She certainly doesn't look fat. That's the only thing that I've been saying here that's the only thing I see here in regards to what he's brought up as examples as reasonable from his perspective. I think that people have definitely gotten out of pocket with Lucia's character. But even then, it is also a situation in which you have the female replacing the male. All right, and to be fair, they're adding a second lead. So hopefully they manage to remedy that so that it's fair for everybody. But you were bringing up franchises that are primarily played by mostly men. And a lot of these franchises either go out of their way to disrespect men or replace the male protagonist with the female protagonist. And that is the problem.
And I do think that this is one thing that me and her absolutely have a common ground on. As far as Lucia being the one who's going to pretty much be the main focus and kind of giving the second character, Jason, the back seat. I think it might end up playing out like GTA 5 did in the sense of how you switch between characters on the fly. Even though people may have some concerns about GTA 6, saying they're going to tone a few things down, this, that, and the third, even though we know for a fact that GTA 5 was toned down from GTA 4 because there wasn't nowhere near the amount of slurs that was used in GTA 5 compared to GTA 4. Like, my God. I mean, granted, there was still even some more obscene things that you can still see in GTA 5 if you go back and replay it, including one side mission where you're recording two celebrities fucking. still arguably one of the wildest side missions I've ever seen from Rockstar. And even based on the trailer with GTA 6, I still think it's gonna be a parody of America, especially like a parody of, you know, the Florida Man based on how that trailer looked. I just want to know, are they gonna replicate that one thing that happened in Florida with the guy that went crazy off bath sauce? And I also have my own theories about Jason as well. Like, what if Jason is an undercover cop and he ends up being the one that turns on his Bonnie in a sense?
You mean the game that went out of its way to disrespect Japan? In cultural ways that are very... for a company that was supposed to have done its research. Got bum research from a white bum that actually didn't know shit about Sasuke. He made up a bunch of shit about the individual, the real life person. What everyone wanted was a clapback at Ghost of Tsushima, really. Like, compete with Ghost of Tsushima. And fucking Ubisoft is like, well, we're gonna do all this other fuck shit. Like, dude, you could tell, like, here's the thing. It is yet another example of pandering. That's what it is, man. And to sit here and pretend otherwise is insane. And if you actually look into what history that is true based on Yasuke, you'd be surprised by what you hear. But that's all I'm saying, bro. Yeah, we wanted like an accurate representation of an Assassin's Creed game in Japan. And they turned it into a joke that nobody could take seriously. And unfortunately, the game isn't going to do well because of that. And because Ubisoft as a company is going down the toilet, no one's going to feel comfortable with supporting their video games because they think that the company will not be here tomorrow. That is the assumption a lot of people are under.
Now, in the past, I have pointed out like the historical inaccuracies and all the things that Ubisoft has really kind of like fumbled with this whole game, like up to the point they had to delay the entire thing, which I can tell you the last time that they publicly delayed an Assassin's Creed game. Internally, maybe, but publicly with the game we know is coming out, typically it would always be able to make its date. But with Assassin's Creed Shadows, that delay really was a surprise to not only me, but a lot of other people as well. And I do think if Ghost of Yotai does end up making its way to come out sometime this year, whether it's the spring, summer, or in the latter part of the year, that game might just end up outdoing Assassin's Creed Shadows by a mile, and that would be absolutely sad. A game that took inspirations from Assassin's Creed ends up outdoing it. And you know, sometimes I wondered how would a Assassin's Creed Shadows game would look if it was developed by Sucker Punch instead of Ubisoft, and that just goes to show how far Ubisoft has fallen. Now, even though I can have my own gripes about Assassin's Creed Shadows, most notably, I don't know if Cassie noticed this, but they have some type of canon mode where basically this, even though this game is being touted as an RPG, they have a literal mode where you could play as where the game makes the choices for you. So yeah, I don't know who thought that up on the whiteboard in the meeting room, but yeah, they need to be fired. But nevertheless, I am still planning on getting the game because I am a big Assassin's Creed fan. I have played every one of them. I'd be one big old hypocrite if I cover Assassin's Creed Shadows for the extensive time that I have and just never buy it or play it or give my own thoughts and opinions about it. And I can also agree with the notion that Shadows can be a make or break for Ubisoft. If it somehow flops, which a part of me don't know how it can, considering the fact that Valhalla made Ubisoft billions of dollars. So once a game crosses a certain threshold in terms of revenue, I feel like there's no way it can fail. If you were to ask me my prediction, I think it'll sell about the same as Origins, Odyssey, and even Valhalla did. Believe it or not, like with these new RPG Assassin's Creeds, they were able to tap into a broader audience that were able to go out and buy these games and for it to become what it is today. And whether you love it or hate it, you can't deny that these games have been making double or in some cases triple than what the original games have made. But if for whatever reason that the game turns out to be a total disaster and it does bankrupt Ubisoft, I think they ought to think about selling the IP to PlayStation, because they at least got one studio over there that could probably
make a great Assassin's Creed game. And it's crazy because PlayStation has a smaller team across the board and they can end up outdoing what Ubisoft has done.
My question to him is, would you support a video game knowing that the people behind the video game hate you?
I think I would want to know, like, to what degree do they not like me? Now, do they not like me because I'm a gamer, or not like me because I'm white or anything like that? Which, to me, it wouldn't make sense for any developer to hop online and say, hey, I hate white people, and you work at a huge company that's ran by white folks, and you have a bunch of co-workers that is white, and this, that, and the third. It would be the same if it was the opposite. Like, why would you work for the people that you hate? that wouldn't make any sense. Or make games for the people that you hate. Now, if it is like because, oh, I'm a gamer, then what's the point of making video games for gamers? Like, I would have even more questions. But would I still go out of my way to purchase it if I'm still looking forward to it? Absolutely. But yeah, shout out to Cassie for the response. I do like having these good old classic cordial back and forth instead of the ones that me and her probably used to seeing. She probably knows what we're talking about, where two people just yelling at each other for no reason instead of having a good old classic conversation on camera. I think those type of responses are not only missed on YouTube, but are needed in this day and age. But with that being said, y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I know this is a long-winded video. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.